الله. مرحبا بكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأزواجه وأصحابه الكرام ومن تمسك بهديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، قال الإمام مسلم رحمه الله تعالى في المسند الصحيح: brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This morning, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to take some fawaid, some benefits. And our class, inshallah, is going to be based directly from, inshallah, the authentic hadith of the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. And that is the hadith in Sahih Muslim, in which An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he says, فيما بوض عليه باب ما يلحق الإنسان من الثواب بعد وفاته. يعني as a فائدة لطلاب الحديث والراغبين في شيء من الازديادة من الفوائد الحديثية، الإمام مسلم رحمه الله لم يبوض ولم يكتب العناوين في كتابه، وإنما وضع الكتب العامة، إنما وضع الكتب والعناوين العامة: كتاب الإيمان، كتاب الطهارة، أو كتاب الوضوء، كتاب مثلا كتاب الصلاة، كتاب الحج إلى آخره. أما الأبواب التفصيلية: باب ما جاء في كذا، باب أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بكذا، باب تحريم كذا، باب هذا ليس من سنن الإمام مسلم، بخلاف الإمام البخاري الذي وضع العناوين، يعني الكتب العامة، ثم فصل في الأبواب: باب كذا، وهل يقال كذا، وقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كذا. لأن الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى كتابه ليس كتاب حديث فحسب، بل هو جامع، اسم على مسمى، كتاب استنباط، كتاب استخراج. هناك معاني وفوائد وأحكام ومسائل. أراد البخاري رحمه الله تعالى أن ينتزع من هذا الحديث هذا الحكم، وأن يستنبط من هذه القصة هذه الفائدة. فلهذا يختصر الأحاديث ويعيدها ويكررها ويقطعها إلى آخره. أما الإمام مسلم رحمه الله تعالى فإنه لم يفعل ذلك، وإنما وضع الكتب العامة ثم ساق الأحاديث مرتبا الأصح فالأصح. وفي ذلك أو ضمن الكتاب هناك مواضيع. أما التبويبات الخاصة التفصيلية فإن هذا ليس من سنة الإمام مسلم رحمه الله، وإنما من سنة الشراح القرطبي أو النووي أو غيرهما. عرفت الفرق؟ شتان ما بين هذا وذاك، شتان ما بين هذا وذاك. لأن الكتاب مسلم، أو لأن كتاب مسلم رحمه الله هو كتاب حديث، هو مسند، يغلب عليه السنة الحديثية، بخلاف كتاب الإمام البخاري. هذا باختصار. هذا إيش؟ باختصار. طيب، أساساً صحيح مسلم, Noah's chapter, the rewards that come to a person after a person dies. The rewards that come to an individual, a servant or slave, after he dies. قال حدثنا يحيى ابن أيوب وقتيبة يعني ابن سعيد وابن حجر قالوا حدثنا إسماعيل وهو ابن جعفر عن العلاء عن أبيه عن أبي هريرة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا مات الإنسان انقطع عنه عمله إلا من ثلاثة: إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he mentions his isnad, his chain of narration, like the other day. When Bukhari, he said, حدثنا المكي بن إبراهيم. The hadith of who? Ibn Abbas, right? So then Muslim rahimahullah, his book, like the other 5 books of the Kutub al-Sitta, Musnad, the chains of narration. But Imam Muslim's book is very different than Imam al-Bukhari's book. Very different, very unique. Of course there are similarities and of course there are parallels, but there are many specific features of Sahih Muslim which are very different than Sahih Bukhari. And from those specific features is the fact that Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote his book in Naysabur, in Nishapur. He wrote his book and he had his library with him. And oftentimes in the company of many of his teachers. But Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, many times he wrote his book, he was on the road. He was traveling and he started compiling his book. You understand this? And that's when he made his famous statement. رُبَّ حَدِيثٍ سَمِعْتُهُ بِالْعِرَاقِ كَتَبْتُهُ بِالشَّامِ. Maybe a hadith I heard from one teacher in Syria and I didn't write it down until I reached Iraq, or this country or that country, etc. Al-Muhim, or Al-Qasd. The point is that Imam Muslim took many years to write his book, and he wrote his book in the presence of his library. And that is why Imam Muslim's book, from many aspects, some aspects, is more accurate from some aspects with regards to the science of hadith. And Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, his book, of course, is more authentic as a whole, no doubt about that. But his book is more fluid, an easy, fluid style. And Imam Muslim is extremely meticulous and technical in many things with regards to ilm hadith. The point that I'm trying to get to is what, brothers? What's the point I'm trying to get to, sisters? It's a very important point, a huge, huge point. And that is, the more that you learn about this science, even as a layman Muslim, and you go to college, and you're not a student of hadith, a student of knowledge, even if it's just general, or something that you hear is a translation, it makes you have more conviction in your religion. And it makes you love your religion more, and trust your religion more. And you know that Islam is not a haphazard, reckless religion. It's not haphazard, it's not reckless. It's not just a sheikh said and a man put a book together and Qala Rasulullah, and that's it. No. Islam is a religion that has been preserved, it's been protected, it's been looked after. And it also increases you in Muslim and Islamic pride. Be proud to be a Muslim, be happy to be a Muslim. And that's because the Muslims were advanced. At one point or another, one point in time, the Muslims were ahead. And they were leading people in scholarship and technology and exploration and traveling. Everyone understand this? Not like oftentimes today, in which the Muslims are behind, tagging along, begging, trying to catch up. But back then it wasn't like that. Everyone understand this? So these technical points here, even if you don't understand all of them, and you're not a serious hardcore student of hadith, hearing about them, coming across them, it should first and foremost increase you in the yaqeen. Is that the sunnah is preserved. And of course, we live in a time and a place in which people say things about hadith and sunnah that is made up, that is fabricated. How do we know that the Prophet really said that? How can we be sure that the Prophet really said those words? Maybe the Prophet didn't say that. Maybe the companions made a mistake. Maybe this one lied. Maybe. No? So you need to have more yaqeen that the sunnah isn't haphazard and it isn't reckless. And it wasn't just something thrown together overnight. It wasn't put together yesterday. It was something that had a great deal of effort and energy and precise attention given thereto. And how can this not be? And Allah says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Indeed, we have sent down the dhikr, and indeed we will protect the dhikr. We will safeguard the dhikr. والذكر في هذه الآية هي أو هو يشمل القرآن ويشمل السنة على قول. وعلى قول آخر المقصود والمراد به القرآن فحسب. The dhikr is either going to mean the Quran and the Sunnah, or it means just the Quran. لكن من لوازم حفظ القرآن حفظ ما يفسره ويوضحه ويشرحه. From the requirements of the Quran being preserved is the preservation of that which looks after the Sunnah and explains the Sunnah, and that which makes the Quran applicable and practical. So no doubt the Sunnah has been preserved. And when you come across these things as a layman Muslim or a college student, it should make you have more trust and more respect for Ilm al-Hadith. Number two, we live in a time in which oftentimes people are afraid to be Muslim, or they're afraid to be recognized as a Muslim, or they're afraid to be attributed to a race or ethnicity. They don't want to be classified. They don't want to be picked out. They don't want to be singled out. And when you know these things, Imam Muslim, he wrote this book over 1,000 years ago. And look how technical it was. There was no Dewey Decimal System. There was no internet. There wasn't this science and this school and academia. There was none of these things. They didn't exist. And the Muslims had powerful minds. Had powerful minds. So the Muslims at one point in time, they were ahead and they were leading. As far as what is taking place today, or what happened in this century and why, and then إلى الله المشتكى. To Allah we complain. The status of many of our countries and Allahu musta'an. Al-Muhim, Imam Muslim rahimahullah, from his technicalities and from the things which he does a bit different than Imam al-Bukhari, is sometimes he narrates from more than one teacher in one hadith. Sometimes he'll narrate from more than one sheikh and one isnad. The hadith that we read the other day, Imam al-Bukhari says, Hadithana al-Makki ibn Ibrahim, and that's it, one sheikh. But here in this isnad, Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he quotes from several teachers in one narration. The first of those teachers, he says, Haddathana Yahya ibn Ayyub wa Qutayba. Qutayba, وهو بن Sa'id. And that's another difference between Bukhari and Muslim. Imam al-Bukhari رحمه الله يقول حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد سواء سمعه هكذا أم لم يسمعه هكذا. أما الإمام مسلم فإنه يسوق لك كما سمع ثم يوضح وهو فلان وهو علان في نهاية الدقة والضبط. الإمام البخاري يقول قتيبة بن سعيد مع أنه ربما سمع قتيبة، ربما جاء في الإسناد قتيبة، لكن الإمام مسلم رحمه الله تعالى يحافظ على كل ما سمع بالدقة المتناهية. وقتيبة بين معترضتين وهو كذا 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 وهو علان وهو فلان. أنتم معنا في هذا. So that's the second teacher. Number three, he says وابن حجر وهو علي بن حجر طبعا. فهذا كم شيخ؟ ثلاثة في السند واحد. So Imam Muslim sometimes he mentions from 3 scholars, 4 scholars, and one isnad. قالوا, they said, all of them reported from a teacher who was Ismail وهو بن جعفر كما قد شرحت لكم. And he narrated from Al-Ala, Ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Huraqi, عن أبيه عبد الرحمن عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه, that the Messenger of Allah عليه الصلاة والسلام, he said the following words: إذا مات الإنسان, when a human dies, when a man dies, when a woman dies, when a person dies, انقطع عنه عمله, his deeds are no more. His good deeds, they are no longer moving and flowing. Like money, when you retire, right? That's why they have a retirement plan, pension or 401k or whatever you call it, because you're no longer doing what? Working. You're no longer working, and your money isn't coming in every week or every 2 weeks or every couple of days or every 3 weeks or every month. It doesn't come in like that anymore. So you need to sit back and you need to rely upon what you previously put in, what you previously did for those 30 or 40 or 50 years, however long you worked and whenever you retired. And if you want to do a little business on the side, that's fine. If you want to have a little small job on the side, that's fine, but you're technically retired. Or even if you still work full time. I'm 65, but I'm officially retired, but I have another job that I do. But the deeds, the money that you made for those years is not, it isn't increasing anymore. It isn't flowing anymore. What you've made, you've made. and you need to now benefit from that wealth. Everyone understand this? We can agree on this or not? And the same applies to the spiritual aspect. All of your prayers and your zakah and your fasting and your hajj and this and that, when you die, that's it. What you've put forth is what you shall receive. إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ, except for 3 good deeds. Except for 3 virtuous things. You understand this? وهذا الأسلوب طبعا هو أقوى. هذا أسلوب النفي والإثبات. لا إله إلا الله. هناك نفي ويعقبه إيش؟ إثبات. إذا مات الإنسان، إذا مات ابن آدم لا عمل له، ليس له حسنات إلا من نقطة نقطة نقطة. That's a stronger style. No deeds you have except for 3. All your deeds are done and finished except for 3. That's a more powerful way of saying it than just saying 3 things will continue for you after death. And understand the difference? And it's very important in understanding the Quran and the Sunnah. When something is negated and then something is affirmed, it's stronger. No one is standing up except for Brother Faisal. It's stronger than saying Faisal standing up and everyone else is sitting down. Has the same meaning, but it isn't the same what? Strength. No one is standing up except for Faisal. Everyone sitting down except for Faisal. Faisal is the only one standing up. It's not the what? It's not the same. So the Prophet says, when the son of Adam, when a human being, when a person dies, his deeds are no more. They aren't continuing. Except for 3 things. إِلَّا مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ جَارِيَةٍ. Sadaqah, which is jariyah, a flowing charity. Flowing charity. Charity that flows. أَوْ عِلْمٍ يُنْتَفَعُ بِهِ, or knowledge from which people benefit. Or knowledge from which people benefit. أَوْ وَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَهُ, or a righteous child that prays for his or her parents. قال الحافظ النووي رحمه الله تعالى: قال العلماء معنى الحديث أن عمل الميت ينقطع بموته وينقطع تجدد الثواب له إلا في هذه الأشياء الثلاثة لكونها أو لكونه كان سببها فإن الولد من كسبه، وكذلك العلم الذي خلفه من تعليم أو تصنيف، وكذلك الصدقة الجارية وهي الوقف. So if we had a crash course on hadith and its sciences, I've given you a brief background of Sahih Muslim. I've given you a brief introduction on the isnad, ilm al-isnad, and now we dive into al-sharh wa fiqh al-hadith, gharib al-hadith, al-istinbat, istikhraj al-ahkam wal-fawaid wal-ma'an min al-hadith. Now we get into the explanation of the hadith and what the hadith means, and most importantly, what do we benefit from it? What can we get from it? And this is all from the things, walillahi alhamd, that I was fortunate enough and lucky enough to have been taught, walillahi alhamd, in the College of Hadith in Medina. Alright? And we all know, the special relationship between graduates of the College of Hadith. Like yesterday, couldn't eat my lunch when we met the brother who had graduated some years before. He said he was waiting for you to come. What did he tell us? He was waiting for you to come because he heard you graduated from the College of Hadith. It was a very, very special experience. Walillahi alhamd, and I am truly indebted to those teachers, to those scholars, to that university, and to that country for what they taught us and what they educated us and how they trained our minds. Walillahi alhamd. And that's why we want to pass it on to you and share it with you. Reading in that. So, An-Nawawi rahimahullah, in the explanation, Al-Minhaj, the Sharh of Sahih Muslim, he says, the ulama say, if An-Nawawi died in the 7th century, he says, قال العلماء, then obviously he's talking about people who came before him. Ash-Shurrah, the explainers, the commentators of the book who came before him. So you're getting a double fa'idah now. Nawawi's commentary along with the previous ulama. He says the hadith means, ma'na al-hadith, is that the deeds of the dead person, they stop when his life stops. Or the deed of the person, because obviously if he's dead, then he stops. The deed of the human stops. His deeds stop when his life stops. Are you understand this? And there's no more renewal of those good deeds. Like I already explained to you, with the paycheck. It doesn't come in. It's not coming in anymore. Whatever you've saved up is there. Whatever you've invested is what? Is there. Except for these three things. And they say the wisdom behind these three things continuing and being renewed is because you are the sabab. You are the reason behind them. You were the means behind them. You were the one who directly did it, or you were the cause, the effect. So therefore, you're going to keep getting the reward, even though you're not doing it what? Anymore. Look how beautiful this speech is. If you are the person who established the sunnah in Malaysia and taught the correct aqeedah in Malaysia, once you leave Malaysia, or when you die, you leave this earth, you'll continue to reap the rewards. If you are the sister that was the pioneer of hijab and the proper hijab in Malaysia, you gave the dawah to the sisters. You yourself bore the mockery and the ridicule and the prejudice and the discrimination of your family and of this person in this college and this workplace because you wanted to cover properly. And you told the sisters about it and you encouraged the sisters to do that. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, you get the reward for every sister who wears the proper hijab afterwards. If you're the sister who made this book club or started this foundation for sisters who don't have a place to stay because their parents want to kick them out because they're practicing the deen, or they don't have nowhere to work because the way that they dress, or whatever the reason, you get a reward for that. If you were the brother who started a foundation for young brothers to get married, a charitable foundation for those who can't afford to get married, or those who have an issue with getting married, you get a reward for every person that comes after you, even though that you're dead and you're gone. And that's because you were the pioneer. You were the one who started it. You were the one who sparked it off. You were the one who says, I'm going to make a sacrifice. And it's not about me, it's not about you, but it's about people that come after you. You may not want to do it. You may not feel comfortable doing it. You may feel that you're not qualified to do it, but it's bigger than you. It's greater than you. Why are you so selfish, Ahmed? And you only think about yourself. You only think about, oh, I'm not good enough to do it. I shouldn't be the imam. I shouldn't start it. Let someone else start it. I don't know enough. Why are you so selfish? Think about the sacrifices that your parents made for you. Do you think they had everything and it was perfect? No, they didn't. But they thought about you coming later on. They thought about your education. They thought about your health. They thought about your business. Well, how can that? So you continue to get the reward because you were the one who made the sacrifice. And you were the one who set it off, as we say. You sparked it off. Now, فَإِنَّ الْوَلَدَ مِنْ كَسْبِهِ. Example of this is one's child. Your son is from your kasb. He's from your working. You've worked to have that son. You understand this? Literally and what? Figuratively. He's from your wealth. He's from your income. He's from your kasb. He's from what you have done. So the deeds that this righteous boy or this righteous girl does, the dua that they make to Allah, oh Allah, forgive my father in the grave. Oh Allah, have mercy on my poor father. He was miskeen. Forgive him of his sins, oh Allah. Allow him into Jannah. Oh Allah, make his grave expansive. So on and so forth. The reason why the child knows how to make dua and what to say in his or her dua, and the virtue of dua is hypothetically presupposed to be from the father or the mother, the parent. Let alone you fed the child with the halal. You raised the child upon the adab of Islam, with respect, with benevolence, with sympathy. That's all from the parents' teachings. These things are from the parents' teachings. So therefore it's only right that the parent gets what? The reward from it, even though the parent is no longer there. Everyone understand this? The child is now living and the parent is no longer there. The dua that the child makes for the parent when the parent dies. وَكَذَلِكَ الْعِلْمُ. And the same applies to knowledge. الَّذِي خَلَّفَهُ. The knowledge that you leave behind. The legacy that you leave behind. The books that you write, the speeches that you give, the dawah that you spread, that's from the legacy of knowledge. And how can a person say, well, why are you doing so many classes? Or take a break, or take it easy, or just relax, or don't go so hard, you should enjoy life more, and so on and so forth, and do this, and don't put too much on yourself. How can I do that? And I read these words. The knowledge that's left behind Life is short. I don't have time to sit back and relax. And I didn't come to Malaysia to sit back and relax. I come to Malaysia to see palm trees and drink coconut water. I didn't come here for that. We came here for a purpose. We came here to work. We came here to teach. We came here to spread. If we get the ability to see something nice, then alhamdulillah. If our hosts are generous enough to take us to a nice place, to a waterfall, or to a nice restaurant, or to a bookstore, then may Allah reward them well. And if not, we came and we traveled those thousands of miles and traveled for 24 hours to teach and to spread the sunnah. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, hoping for the reward. And we ask Allah to make us sincere and to keep us sincere and to purify our hearts and our minds from worldly aspirations and these things of the hayat dunya, which mean nothing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which mean nothing to Allah the Mighty and the Most High. So the knowledge that you leave behind, it will remain and it will stay even when you go. And that's my dream, and that's what I hope, that when I leave Malaysia, alhamdulillah, I hope that the teachings won't be wasted. And I hope it won't just be a conference or a lecture that you gave. Oh, that's a nice speech, or you're funny, or the Q&A session was nice. I hope that you get the point, Ashik, and you understand the concept, and you carry it on and build and develop and establish your own bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And you pass it on to the other shabab, the other youth that aren't here, that can't listen, that can't come, and you teach them the message, and you give them the true way of discipleism. Spread the way of the disciple, how to think critically, how to study, how to read Sahih Bukhari, how to read the Isnad. Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun min an-nas. You teach and you pass on the way of Hadith Disciple, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. With that being said, he says, وَكَذَلِكَ الصَّدَقَةُ الْجَارِيَةُ. And the same applies to continuous charity. And what is continuous charity? Many people, they don't understand this word. He says, وَهِيَ الرَّقْمُ. Continuous charity is endowment. An endowment to build a masjid, and it's for Allah. To build a school or an orphanage, and it's for Allah. To make a charitable society, and it's given and it's donated what? For Allah. I mean, understand this? To make a center for those who have impaired vision or impaired hearing, and you make it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is called al-waqf, endowment. An-Nawawi, he says, وَفِيهِ فَضِيلَةُ الزَّوَاجِ لِرَجَاءِ وَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ. From the benefits of this hadith, Nafis, he says it's the virtue of getting married. The virtue of getting married. The excellence of getting married. Getting married is a good thing, brothers. Don't be allergic to marriage. It's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. It's a good thing, a virtuous thing. For the hopes of getting a righteous child. For the hopes of having a righteous child. A righteous child only comes from marriage. In most cases. 9 out of 10 times. In most cases. Hypothetically speaking. وقد سبق بيان اختلاف أحوال الناس فيه وأوضحنا ذلك في كتاب النكاح. And we previously explained the different levels and the circumstances and the situations of the people regarding marriage. أحوال الناس. And the different levels and types of marriage and rulings of marriage. The book of marriage, obviously, is in Kitab, It's not in Kitab al-Nikah anymore. In other words, is marriage obligatory? Do you have to get married? You have to marry? Or is it permissible to remain single and get married if you want to? I didn't say it was or it wasn't. I'm asking you the question. Do you have to get married? Is it recommended to get married? Is it disliked for you to get married? Is it haram to get married? What's the purpose of getting married? What are the reasons behind getting married? Let's ask the question, what is the ruling on getting married? Khidr. It depends on what? One's needs and circumstances, such as? If one can afford it, and he has the strong desire to do it, then he has to. When does he not have to? He's not physically capable, then it's haram to get married. He's not financially stable, graduated from school, 2 cars, you own the house, the sofa, the couch, the stove, all has to be in the woman's name, right? Is that financially stable?
No. What's financially stable then? Is that correct? Financially stable? Who's financially stable in 2019, I would say? You work, you have an income, you're saving up money, so on and so forth. But financially stable is always going to be what? From person to person. One person says having $1 million in my bank account is financially stable. Another person says financially stable is I have a check coming in every week. I live week to week. Another person says financially stable is to have an investment. Is this, and Allahu Alam, what's financially what? Stable. Obviously we get the point. Come on, you have to have some type of responsibility. Maybe that's a better word. Financially what? Responsible. There's a huge difference between the two guys. Ashiq? Financially stable and financially what? Responsible. You agree to that, Abu Saeed? Does the Qawi make sense or not? Huge difference between the two. Financially stable, even in, one could say, but definitely financially what? Responsible. And which have some type of income coming in. And have some type of way of making money. Have some type of talent or skill or etc. So let's ask the question now, Khidr. Enough with the pleasantries. Alright? Enough with the pleasantries. When is it obligatory to get married in Malaysia? When is it obligatory for you to get married? Is it obligatory for you to be married now? Maybe. Maybe. What you think, Ashik? You think it is or it isn't upon him? He has to. Allahu Akbar. Have you told him that nasiha to his face? Tell him now. Khidr. Al-Muhim, at the end of the day, all jokes aside, guys, the ulama of Islam, as Khidr mentioned, is that there are circumstances. There's certain situations where the person has to get married. And it is unlawful for him to delay it. And whatever's coming before that marriage cannot take precedence. Even Hajj. Let alone going to college, or seeking knowledge of the deen, ilm, or trying to find a career, or so on and so forth. And that is لمن يخشى العنت والوقوع فيما لا تحمد عقباه. When a person is afraid of falling into vice, and they don't have the ability to fast anymore. I fasted. How long have I fasted? I fasted so much I can't fast anymore. Everyone understand this? Abdul Khayr, done what? I fasted and I fasted and I fasted. That temporary cure, I need something more than fasting now. Everyone relate to this or not? We're keeping it real now, Real talk. A person says, I'm afraid of falling into zina. My desires and my urges are very, 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 very strong. But some brothers say in the United States, ribs are what? Touching. My ribs are touching. It's a fitna. It's a fitna. And the person is afraid of losing his deen or losing her deen. No doubt about that. And you have certain reasons and certain ways in which you can attempt to get married. Then you have to get married. Whether you're financially stable, financially responsible, or what, or not. But you at least have to begin cranking the gear, and stepping towards marriage. It may take you 3 months, or 6 months, or a year to figure things out with the sister, or to find the right sister, or to find the right brother, or have the right brother find you. But if you don't attempt and saying, all right, khalas, it's not obligatory for me to get married. And if you don't start the process, then you'll continually say, I gotta make money, I gotta go to school, I gotta finish my degree, I gotta. And then after you go to school, save money, get this job, pay back the debts, take your parents on Hajj and Umrah, so on and so forth, then you start looking for marriage, which may take a year, or 6 months, or 3 years. That's further delay now. Everyone understand this? So oftentimes, wujub nikah, the obligation of marriage, oftentimes it starts just what? Mentally. In which you say, I've reached that level, The dial is on the what? In the red zone. Everyone understand this is no longer green anymore. Your gas tank is beneath E. I'll tell you, your engine light is what? It's on, maintenance. Car's not going to break down now, but now you have to start going towards the what? The mechanic. And making an appointment for the mechanic. Everyone understand this? So there's a huge difference between the two. Right now, I don't have all of the money to get married, or I'm about to finish my degree in a couple of months. But now begins the search for the nikah, which is obligatory upon me. And any unnecessary delay is now what? Sin. And I have to prioritize the marriage. No questions, no questions, no questions. Everybody clear on this or not? So far. But that's not the same as someone who wants to get married. A person is lonely. A person, everyone has desires. But they can what? Control themselves. And I'm not afraid of falling into zina. I'm not afraid of falling into watching unlawful things. I can go to school from my dorm, come back, and I'm all right. That's not the same. Everyone understand this? But you should get married in that instance. But it's not the same as the one whose dial is what? Leaning over to orange and red. Everyone understand the difference or not? It may be in green, or in the middle between the green and the orange. Everyone understand what I'm trying to say or not? And then there are other people, some ulama, if not most of the ulama, they say, in which marriage is mubah. It's unprescribed. If you want to do it, do it. And if you don't want to do it, you don't necessarily have to do it. Most of the ulama, they held the view that marriage is not obligatory unless a person feels that he or she is going to fall into al-anat, fitna. You understand this? And I don't have to lecture you on this. You guys go to college. Let's keep it real, right? No fake piety. It's 2019 in a college. All right? Moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَفِيهِ دَلِيلٌ لِصِحَّةِ أَصْلِ الْوَقْفِ وَعَظِيمِ ثَوَابِهِ. And this hadith also shows us is the concept of endowment in Islam is proper. Is that there is a thing in Islam called waqf. It's not a bid'ah, it's not a cultural practice, it's not a madhab, but it's religious devotion to give an endowment, to establish endowment. And then there is a tremendous reward in doing so. A tremendous reward in doing so. How many times, Abu Sa'id, how many wells have you built overseas? In poorer countries or third world countries? Think about that. You'd be shocked how much it costs to establish a well or establish a school in an impoverished country. As your friend now, not saying that you haven't do it, but advice, think about that. There's sadaqah for your local people, sadaqah for your local imam, of course. Don't forget that. And also we have the concept of what? Of waqf. Establishing a school, establishing an orphanage, establishing a sadaqah foundation in another place. Whether it's in New York City or what? Other than New York City. There's a tremendous reward in doing so. Azim thawabihi. Tremendous reward in doing so. He then says, وَبَيَانْ فَضِيلَةِ الْعِلْمِ وَالْحَثُّ عَلَى الْإِسْتِكْثَارِ مِنْهُ. And this hadith also shows us the stupendous virtue of knowledge. Ilm, deen, learning the Quran, learning the Sunnah, being a hafiz of the Quran, a qari of the Quran, a teacher of the Sunnah of deen. It's a tremendous reward. And that a person should never suffice himself with just a little bit. You should never just be pleased with, I asked Sheikh Fulan, or I asked brother Fulan, and that's it. I read a book, He says, istikthar. It's to be greedy when it comes to knowledge. Knowledge of the deen first and foremost, of course, that's what we're talking about. And it's also applicable to knowledge of the dunya. You continue to learn, you never stop learning, even when you're a doctor. Even when you're an expert, you continue to learn, you continue to read, you continue to travel, you continue to debate with your colleagues. A true person of knowledge never looks at himself as, I'm done, I'm finished. Brothers, it says, oh, Mufti, you finished your studies. I say, I haven't finished my studies. There's no such thing as finishing my studies. There is no finishing your studies. Your studies are until death. They asked Imam Ahmed and others, they would say, إِلَى مَتَى يَطْلُبُ الرَّجُلُ الْحَدِيثِ وَيَسْمَعُ. Until when should a person search for hadith and listen to hadith and go into the circles of hadith? And they would say, إِلَىٰ أَن تُصَبَّ مِحْبَرَتُهُ عَلَى قَبْرِهِ. It says when you take your inkwell, or his inkwell, it's poured over his grave. As if it was a custom of some of the ulama of hadith, when someone died, they would take the inkwell and do what? Pour it over the grave. Allahu A'lam. Al-Muhim, he says that's when you stop seeking what? Hadith, when you're dead. There is no limit, there's no cap on the knowledge that you get. He says here, وَتَرْغِيبُ فِي تَوْرِيثِهِ بِالتَّعْلِيمِ وَالتَّصْنِيفِ وَالْإِيضَاحِ. And it also shows us the virtue of passing down the knowledge. Passing on the baton. Not like many older brothers who wish to cling and clutch and stick to what they built and what they established. And the truth is to be said without disrespecting anyone. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khairan. You've established it here, there, you built it, you fought for it, you sacrificed for it, alhamdulillah. But Sheikh, jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, right now, it's time to just pass it on to somebody else. It's time to relax. It's time right now to focus on ibadah, to focus on your children. It's time for you to sit in front of your fireplace with your robe and your slippers and enjoy your grandchildren for several reasons. The first reason, walillahi alhamd, and it's no disrespect, but obviously you're not as sharp and quick as you used to be 30 and 40 years ago. And the beauty of knowledge is that the more you seek ilm and the more you teach, the sharper your mind gets and the more wisdom that you have. But it isn't the same as the young elastic mind. There's a difference. The hip is not the same anymore. And people do become senile. People forget. People, they may lose the vigor and the touch. They may lose their venom when it comes to dawah and ilm. And they may become too complacent. I would say too laid back. They don't have the venom of the youth anymore. And that's needed for dawah, especially in 2019. In the social media, you need that what? That aggressiveness. Reason number two is that, Sheikh, you deserve this now. You worked all of these years, now you deserve, not saying to forget it and not to do anything, but you deserve to have other rewards in this dunya. And number three, the world is changing and the world is evolving. And alhamdulillah, when you started in 1960 or 70, walillahi alhamd, it's not the same in 2019. Life has changed. Many people have very different ideals and concepts. And oftentimes we need the young generation who understand it, who see it, who feel it, who know how to do it, to step up now. With the teaching of the elders, of course. The barakah, inshallah, of the elders and their experience. But the groundwork is no longer done, what? By the older sheikh anymore. Just like an army. The general, the colonel, he's not on the front lines fighting anymore. Why? Like I just said, his strength and his power isn't what? It's not the same. It doesn't mean that he can't fight anymore. It doesn't mean that he can't fight anymore, he's a slouch. But it's not the same as that young guy who is full of strength, like a lion. It's not the same. Let alone his age and his experience is needed in other fields, such as directing the troops, looking and telling them what to do and giving them guidance. And that's why it's a military axiom, never to lead from the front. A military axiom. You can't see everything from the front row. You have to be at a distance and look at the whole entire battlefield, and then send in the troops, send in the reinforcements, retreat, withdraw. It's time to run. It's time to go. The battle is lost. It's no point in dying unnecessarily. And you can't do that if you're directly what? On the front. But oftentimes a person's ego and a person's pride. I'm not a coward. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not. No one said that you are. But if the general goes, if the colonel goes, if the lieutenant goes, who will lead and guide the men? So oftentimes when it comes to da'wah, sometimes it's best for someone to do what? Just what? Teach the youth. It doesn't have to be totally removed, but take what? Step back a little bit, Sheikh, and pass it down to the next generation. And it's very unfortunate, and Allah knows best, for there to be an imam who's old, and he's worked for so many years, and he has no suitable successor in sight. 40 years went by, you taught, and there's no one that is in line to take over. What were you doing for 40 years, Sheikh? Who were you teaching? Who were you educating? You couldn't find one righteous pupil that could carry on the legacy when you go? You can't live forever. So he says, Tawreeth. Knowledge is like inheritance. It has to be what? Passed down. It has to be given. And oftentimes, many older brothers, they become insecure when it comes to younger brothers and younger sisters. And they feel threatened that you're trying to take my masjid from me. You're trying to take my dawah organization from me. You're trying to take the status from me. They feel threatened. And that's not a good thing. First and foremost, the dawah and the masjid belongs to Allah. وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. It belongs to Allah and it doesn't belong to me or you. Number two is that you should never have a clash with the young people. You should work with them. مَنْ لَمْ يَرْحَمْ صَغِيرَنَا وَيَعْرِفْ حَقَّ كِبِيرِنَا فَلَيْسَ مِنَّا. Respect the elders and have mercy upon the youth. So knowledge has to be done. It has to be what? It says Tawreeth. It has to be passed down. and it can never remain just with one person. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَالتَّصْنِيف, and writing books, وَالْإِيضَاح, and explaining it. وأنه ينبغي أن يختار من العلوم الأنفع فالأنفع. And it also goes to show is that you have to prioritize when it comes to seeking knowledge. You must prioritize. Knowledge is vast, it's endless, it's limitless. So you have to prioritize. So for all seekers of knowledge, what to start off with, what book to do first, what university to go to, what should I memorize first? Prioritize. And if you yourself cannot prioritize, then ask those who have experience. And also, when it comes to the worldly knowledge, prioritize. It's a good degree to have. It's a good field to study, but is it really needed where you are? Is it needed in your country? What can you really do with the degree when you graduate? Do you have a means of income if you don't get hired in this field? It's a problem, it's an issue. And oftentimes there are things that the Muslims need of worldly science, we need more than that. So you have to do what? You got to prioritize. You have to put forth the most important before the important. You have to put forth the most virtuous before the virtuous. He says, وفيه أن الدعاء يصل ثوابه إلى الميت وكذلك الصدقة وهما مجمع عليهما وكذلك قضاء الدين كما سبق. And this hadith also teaches us is that the dua and the benefit of it will reach the deceased person. If you pray for someone dead, it will benefit them. And the same applies to giving charity on their behalf. It will benefit them. And also paying off someone's debt. It will what? It will benefit them in the grave. He says, and the first two things, making dua and giving sadaqah, all of the ulama agree that it can be done. I.e., that there are other things upon which the ulama disagree. Can the reward reach the deceased Muslim? If I read the Quran and say, I'm giving the reward for you, does it reach you or not? I make hajj for someone, does it reach a person or not? The ulama don't necessarily what? Agree on that. But those two first points, they what? They agree. He says, وَأَمَّا الْحَجُّ فَيُجْزِي عَنِ الْمَيِّتِ عِنْدَ الشَّافِعِي وَمُوَافِقِيهِ وَهَذَا دَاخِلٌ فِي قَضَاءِ الدَّيْنِ إِنْ كَانَ حَجًّا وَاجِبًا وإن كان تطوعا وصى به وهو من باب الوصايا. وأما إذا مات وعليه صيام فالصحيح أن الولي يصوم عنه وسبقت المسألة في كتاب الصيام. وأما قراءة القرآن وجعل ثوابها للميت والصلاة عنه ونحوهما فمذهب الشافعي والجمهور أنها لا تلحق الميت. He says as far as Hajj, then Imam Shafi'i's view, and the ulama who agreed with him, is that Hajj can be done for the deceased Muslim. Especially if it was a mandatory Hajj. A mandatory Hajj. In which he had the ability to do it, and the money, and he didn't do it. As far as if a person didn't or couldn't do it, then perhaps that's a different story. And then details with regards to that. As far as extra Hajj, voluntary Hajj, then if a person dies, and they leave the money behind, and they put it in the will, then min bab al-wasaya. You implement that person's will. When I die, this is $20,000, make Hajj for me twice. And you are the one who inherits from me or takes my will, then you have to do what? You implement that. You implement that. He says here, as far as fasting, then the correct view is that the guardian or the heir, the wali, the one who's in charge of the affairs of the deceased Muslim, should fast for him. If he has fasting days which are missed, obligatory days, recommended days, fi dhalika, tafasil, details regarding that. As far as, and this is the kernel here, reading the Quran and making prayer for people and things like this, he says that Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah and most of the ulama said no. The rewards don't reach the dead person, and you can't do it. Not all of the ulama, but what? Most of the ulama. So this goes to show you, those who say that they're Shafi'i, and they say we're going to read the Quran for this dead person, and make prayer for this dead person, and do this for this dead person, they're not really following the teachings of what? A Shafi'i. Right or wrong, Shafi'i was. That's not the point. The point is that you're not even accurately following what you claim to follow. So brothers and sisters, I think you all get the point. that this brief hadith is a tremendous hadith. And it shows us so many things. And that's the richness of the sunnah. We can make an entire lecture just on marriage from this one hadith. We can make an entire lecture just on ilm from one hadith. We can make an entire lecture just on waqf from one hadith. We can make an entire lecture on hajj from one hadith. An entire lecture on siyam and janazah just from this hadith. On taqleed and ittiba' and the madahib from one hadith. And this goes to show you the richness of the what? Of the sunnah. So this is one hadith that you learn, memorize, study, read the explanation. How good of a Muslim, how strong would your da'wah be if you had 100 of these hadiths? And 1,000 and 500 and 340 of them with the proper explanation from the classical ulama. So learn hadith, study hadith, and seek the proper fiqh of the hadith. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Fadal ya akhi. Of course. The way that you smile. Question says, do you think that a person who gets married should have a certain mindset, i.e. a certain level of maturity, religious maturity, and worldly maturity, both. Religious maturity and worldly maturity, responsibility, etc., for you to get married, for you to raise these righteous children, so on and so forth. I agree and I disagree. Yes, you should, and you have to be relatively mature. Marriage is not a game. It's not just laughing and joking. Some things in marriage is about laughing and joking, alhamdulillah. You get married to have fun. You get married to relieve and remove stress and to enjoy yourself in a lawful way with your partner, your friend, your soulmate, inshallah, without a doubt. And marriage is not, or shouldn't just be stress and worries and responsibilities and bills and arguments, as many people make it seem. Many people, they make the marriage like this. It's nothing but mashakil, waja'ras. That's it, that's marriage. And that's not the true, proper marriage. Am I lying about this? It's reality. And many people, unfortunately, when they become bitter, or they get scorched, or they go through a bad marriage, or I was married to your father for 30 years, for 40 years, he made me lose my hair, I lost my teeth, I got cancer and breast cancer and kidney disease because of your father, and then they're bitter. And they see that you're happy and you're young and you're trying to get married, they want to scorn you and push you away from it, or they may be jealous. And this is the reality, brothers and sisters. Your mother may be jealous of you. Your own father could be jealous that you're engaged to a sister who is more beautiful than your mother was when she was younger. It's a reality. I wanted to marry a beautiful woman in the village or the neighborhood or the school, and I couldn't for one reason or another. Now you bring home this beautiful girl to our house. No, go to college, learn first, get your degree. Be mature, you're too immature. It's reality. Or your mother, she may be jealous of her daughter because her daughter, inshallah, is picking the husband that she wants and that she's in love with the brother. We're not talking about no haram stuff. We're not talking about no boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. What did he say in McDonald's yesterday? Tinder, right? We're not talking about Tinder in Malaysia. We're not talking about that. She loves the brother and she's trying to get married to him in a permissible way. And it's the man of her choice. And her mother is envious and jealous because I had to marry my cousin and I didn't want to marry him. I didn't want to marry him. I didn't get a chance to choose the guy that I wanted to marry, the brother in the masjid, the righteous one. I wanted to marry him, but my father said, no, you're going to marry this one for tribal allegiance. You're going to marry this one because our family needs this. It's a reality. I'm making this up, Akhi. It's a reality. Everyone understand this? Yesterday, the sister, she mentioned about Afghanistan and some of the statistics there and how things happen and Allahumma musta'an, how people became more Islamic and they became more oppressive to women, etc. Allahumma musta'an. When I was in Medina, there was an associate that I had, a brother who was from my state. He wasn't from my city, but he was from my state. And he was originally from Afghanistan. And when he came to Medina, I took him to a restaurant that we would frequently go to. Anyone who's in Medina or in Saudi or the Khaliji knows about Kebsa, right? And the Bukhari restaurant, chicken and rice or the lamb and rice or whatever. So I was going to this restaurant for some years now. And the brothers, they knew me. We had a good relationship. They would give me food and we would talk, and we have a nice, good Muslim relationship with Allah alhamd. And he would ask me about America, how are Afghanis in America, so on and so forth. It was about maybe 5 different brothers there. One was really religious. He was a student of knowledge. Other was a worker, one, etc. I would go to eat my lunch every day. So when a brother from the United States came to the Islamic University of Medina, he was Afghani. And he says, I want to go to the Afghanistan restaurant. I want to see the Afghanis in Medina. I said, sure, I got a perfect place to take you. So I took him there. We had the food with Allah alhamd. And when we were done the food, they start talking, speaking their original language, so on and so forth, communicating, alhamdulillah. When we were done the food, I told him to sit down and relax. Let me get up, wash my hands, and pay for the food. And anyone who knows Saudi, he knows one of the most disrespectful things that you can do is try to pay for the food instead of the host. Right or wrong? Bahrain is like that as well. Other Gulf countries. It's the worst thing you can do. Eid, what is that? And when you invite me over my house, or you invite me over my house, I say, how much do I owe you? Or you give me a ride somewhere and I say, how much should I pay you? That's a what? It's a smack in the face, right? You invite me to a restaurant, Fadl, study, you're my guest. I drink the coffee and then I get up and I take out my wallet. You'll be what? Tremendously offended. And I'm sure other cultures as well. Other cultures, you'll be tremendously offended and disrespected. Disrespected, right or wrong. So that's the Saudi culture. So as I was putting on my wallet, the brother, he came and he's like, what are you doing, Mufti? I said, nothing. I told you to sit down and finish the food. I said I was washing my hands. He said, no, I have to pay. I said, la yaqi, that's not how we do things in Saudi. I don't care if you're Afghani or not. This is how we do things. So he became angry. And he basically butted me out the way. He was much stronger than me. He said, la, move out the way. And the strange thing is that the Afghani brothers behind the counter, they allowed him to do it. And it goes to show you the power of culture over what? Another culture. Because the Saudi culture, he wasn't supposed to allow him to do that. He was supposed to say, Malish, I'm sorry. Sheikh Muhammad, he has to pay, and you can't pay. But because they're both Afghani, they allowed it to happen. So I said, all right, no problem, whatever. Right, no problem. So as we were leaving the restaurant, he said, you have to understand something about Afghani people, Mufti. He says, we're very stubborn people by nature. He says, once we're set on something, no one can change our minds, and it has to be done like this. I said, yeah, I just saw that. So moving forward, he started telling me more about Afghanistan and about his culture and his language and what ethnicity, what tribal background he comes from in Afghanistan. And for some reason or another, the issue of marriage came up. And he said to me, and Allah knows that I'm not lying, he says, in my culture, my town, my city, my village, and my family, he says, a woman does not meet her husband until the night of consummation. The night of consummation, she realizes who her husband is. He comes into the house, Assalamu alaikum, and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Until then, she doesn't even know who the guy is. What he looks like, what his breath smells like, what his feet smell like, not important. This is who you're marrying. It's a true story now. And I'm sure some of you can relate to other cultural references like this. More or less extreme. More or what? Less extreme. So let's say, for example, that your mother was that sister who met her husband when he came in to take her virginity. It was the first time she ever met the man. She never talked with him. She doesn't know what he looks like, what his name is. He doesn't tell her his name. He takes her virginity. He deflowers her just like that. And then you come home with a brother that you know, he's righteous, he's handsome, he has a good job, he knows the Quran, and you have a good, strong relationship. It's very common and very easy for your mother to become what? Jealous. Why do you deserve to have love within marriage? And I never loved your father. I never loved him. I liked him, I respected him, but I never loved him. It's unfortunate. So oftentimes people give people advice based off of their own emotional trauma. You understand this? You with me? They give people advice based off of their what? Their own emotional trauma, their own experiences. So some people that say you have to be super mature when you get married, you have to have this, you have to. Oftentimes it's not true advice. But oftentimes they're only giving you that advice because they're a little upset at your success and your happiness. So beware of that. You understand what I'm saying to you or not? That's the whole point of the story about the brother from Afghanistan. You understand this? So therefore, what do you mean that you have to be mature and have to have a certain mindset? You have to be a perfect man to get married? No, you don't. You have to be a perfect woman to get married? No, you don't. You can't be giggly and laugh and goofy. How many grown people are laugh a lot and they're giggly and they're goofy? It's not a condition. It's not a shart of marriage. The ulama never mentioned that. An la yakuna goofy. You know, that's mawani is nikah. La, it's not a condition. But when it comes time to getting serious and being serious, yes. Especially if there's a lack of balance. As far as if both the brother and the sister are both giggly and goofy, then it's not as bad. It's far easier. But let's say the sister's serious about you paying the bills. Or let's say the sister's serious about intercourse and she wants her rights in the bedroom, and you're laughing and joking and you're shy and giggling like many brothers are. I don't want to name no names. Brothers in New York City, they laugh and they joke about sisters. They go outside and say, oh, it's fitna, I need to get married. Oh, this sister. But you say, here's a sister, get married to her. He'll laugh and he'll joke, he'll laugh and he'll joke. He's giggly. What's going to happen? What? Well, he's going to laugh and he's going to giggle. He's not mature enough. So if she's saying, all right, it's no more joking right now, we're serious, and he's laughing and joking and saying ill, obviously she's going to complain, and it's going to be major problems that are going to ensue. But if they're both like little kids laughing and giggling and learning their way, then it's not what? It's not as bad. Understand this? So it depends on the compatibility, right? Thirdly is, life is a continuous process of development. It's a continuous process of you becoming better. Do you think your father is the wise man now that he was 20, 30 years ago? Of course not. He made bad decisions. He made poor decisions. He made mistakes. And that's how he became what? Wise. He has a house now. He owns houses. He has real estate now. But do you think when he came to America, he didn't live in an apartment? You don't think it wasn't 5 people in one room? You don't think he had to save every single dime and penny for years? So things don't happen overnight. If things don't happen overnight, why are you preventing someone from getting married because they don't have everything? Would you want your son to make zina? You don't have a girlfriend? You want your daughter to come home with an illegitimate child? You want your daughter to get an abortion? You want your son to be a zani, or the other a filthy fornicator, sleeping with women? That's what you want your son to be like? Or you want your son to get married and to make some mistakes, and to have some difficulties, and to have some struggles? I'll help you out a little bit, son, but I can't help you out in everything. Not that I can't give you the money, but you have to learn responsibility yourself. And oftentimes you don't learn how to swim until you're thrown into the water. Oftentimes you don't learn how to swim until you're forced to learn how to swim. And of course it doesn't mean that you're reckless, but it doesn't mean that you're over precautious and extremely what? I can't because I'm not. La, everything. It's better to be immature and giggly and goofy and have problems in your marriage than have a girlfriend or a boyfriend in which you're fornicating. And you're doing that which displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone understand this? So therefore, as I said, it depends on the person. If you feel the strong need and urge to get married, you have to get married. Even if you don't have all of the money. Or even if you're not totally mature. Or even if you don't everything. And even if you don't have everything, because those things within that title will what? They will come. They'll come in gradual time. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, when he was asked, or he said, يَنْبَغِي لِلرَّجُلِ أَنْ يَتَدَيَّنَ وَأَنْ يَتَزَوَّجْ. Once he said to one of his students, he says, a man has to be religious, and a man has to and should get married. He says, Ya Abu Abdullah, oh Abu Abdullah, Imam Ahmad, what about money? What about the expensive cost of things? This is in the 3rd century Baghdad. And he asked the man, he says, what is cooking? He says, do you feed yourself? Do you sustain yourself? Of course you don't. You don't control your own wealth, your own food. Allah does. And the same applies to what? Marriage. What does Allah say in the Quran Kareem? وَلْيَسْتَعْفِفِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا حَتَّى يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah says, let them be chaste. Let them be chaste. Those who can't get married until Allah does what? Enriches them from His bounty. So marriage is a reason behind the risk. And oftentimes when you force yourself to have a responsibility, you what? Take on a responsibility. And you just keep sitting back, I'm going to get married, I'm going to save up, I'm going to save up. You never ever end up what? Saving up. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal.
How can a man marry a woman when it's hard for him to approach her Or what more to meet the father of the woman?
Question says, how can a man marry a woman when it's hard to approach her? And it's difficult for a person to approach the sister's father. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Man jadda wajad. There's a will, there's a way. If you see a sister at the college, at school, you like her, she likes you, you're laughing and giggling about her, she's laughing and giggling about you, you're doing a school project and the sister walks up to you and she gives you the face like, you know, Sister Fatima has a crush on you, so on and so forth. Or Brother Kareem has a crush on you. You know, it's known that who likes who. And you really want to marry this sister, but she's older than me, or she's smarter than me, she get better grades than me, she's a harder worker, or she's different race, or whatever the case is. And you really want to marry this sister, inshallah ta'ala, you're going to find a way. So approach the sister, approach the dad somehow, some way. And you're even going to deal with rejection. I know brothers who want to marry certain sisters, and I'm not trying to play the racial card again. It's not me. But many brothers, they may like sisters from different races, right? And they want to marry them, and specifically in the college. Specifically in the college, right? But the father says no, for one reason or another. You're from Malaysia, Indonesia, you can't marry a Yemeni sister. You're white, you can't marry a black sister. You're this, whatever the case may be, right? You're from Bahrain, you can't marry someone from Kuwait. Whatever the case is. Ayin can, right? Whatever it is. But they go to college, and you're a handsome brother, mashallah, smart brother, articulate brother. Sister wants to marry you. She doesn't want to marry someone from her country or from her family, right? And oftentimes many brothers, they go to the father, and the father says, no, get lost, scram. In your dreams, will you marry my daughter? My daughter's from Yemen. You can't marry my daughter, you're not Yemeni. And the brother likes the girl so much, and he's in love with the sister so much, he's willing to deal with rejection 2, 3, 4 times, and he keeps trying, and he keeps wishing, and he keeps hoping. And that's because he really wants to marry that sister. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, if it's written for him by Allah, he'll find a way to figure it out. And even if he's rejected and it doesn't work out, he'll go to the father. Even if he has to deal with what? Direct what? Rejection. So that's the bottom line. If you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it. And if it doesn't work out for you, you'll at least attempt to do it. That هذا هو المقصود. It may not work out for you, fitna, but at least you'll do what? You'll find a way, even if it's embarrassing. You walk up to the brother after Jummah in front of everybody. Sheikh Fulan, I want to marry your daughter. And they're looking around like, what? But at least he did what? He did it, because that burning fire can't be put out anymore. I need to marry this sister. I want to marry this sister. We need to do it the halal way. Bismillah. And you never know. The father, he may be upset, he may be angry, he may be vexed in the beginning, but he may say, you know what? Come on, I'll give you a shot. Come to my house. Come to my house, my wife will prepare a meal for you, and meet the entire family. You never know what's to be for you. Fortune favors the what? The brave. Fortune favors the what? Fortune favors the what? The brave. Look at that statement. That fortune, it likes brave people, and it doesn't like timid and cowardly people. So sometimes you got to be a little bold. You got to make a bold move. Sometimes you have to. All right? Depending on the time, depending on the place, depending on the culture. Some cultures, I know, you can't go up to the father. Certain cultures, you have to have a wasita. Vitamin, vitamin, the W, right? Some cultures, it is okay to go up to the father. Some cultures, if you went up to the sister, they'll get upset and get angry. And there are other cultures in which they don't mind. Unfortunately, some cultures, they may encourage it. Say, go with my daughter, talk to her, go out with her on a halal date, get to know her. And obviously, you being alone with her is a problem, of course. You having too much interaction and mixing is a huge problem, no doubt. But many people, they jump the gun too fast. And they say, oh, this father is evil. He wants the brother to go out on a date with his daughter. He wants to be with her. Don't forget about the other brother who says, stay away from my daughter. And you can't get married to my daughter. You're not good enough for my daughter. Your skin is too dark for my daughter. Your skin is too light for my daughter. You're not of noble blood of my daughter. And the daughter is in love with the brother. And they're a good match. They're a good match. They're compatible. And he says, no. So look at that. Which of the two fathers would you like to have? Ibrahim. The one who says, go out to Starbucks with her. As long as you're not alone. If people are around, ihtiram taban, respect my daughter, and I know you will. And perhaps maybe that's a test from the father. You don't know who's in Starbucks. Or you don't know what agreement he's made with his daughter. He may test them out. Is he going to transgress the lines? Is he going to disrespect my daughter? Is he going to try to violate her? Or is he a man of honor? And what man wants to marry his daughter to someone who isn't a man of honor? Everyone understand this? So of course there's a balance in the middle. There's a what? A balance in the middle. And it just doesn't make sense. In 2019, someone says, how can I marry someone and be with someone and I know nothing about them and have a successful marriage? We're not in the village in Afghanistan. It's 2019 in New York City. Things are different now. Everyone understand this? So what's important is you never know what the father will say unless you what? Unless you try. Try your hardest. And if it doesn't work, then it wasn't what? Wasn't for you. And there are many, many sisters out there. And there are many, many brothers out there. As we say in America, there are many fish in the what? In the sea. Many fish in the sea. Don't suffice yourself with just what? Sea bass. Or tuna. Everyone understand this? There are many, 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 many fish, right? Wallahu alam. That's سمك يا أخي. أسماك. There's many types of fish in the sea, Wallahu alam.
If I am somebody who is keen on knowledge, keen on seeking knowledge, and my preference is to marry someone who is keen also. But if a righteous man who is upon the sunnah comes but isn't keen on seeking knowledge, should I settle for him? If not, then what extent should I keep rejecting such proposals?
I'm keen on seeking knowledge. Should I marry a brother who's keen on seeking knowledge? Or just settle for a brother who's on the sunnah, he's a good brother, but he's not on keen on seeking knowledge? Until when do I reject people? No, don't settle. And don't marry anyone who isn't like you. Someone who's similar to you, because a key word was used, and that word was what? Keen. Keen. It doesn't say I like to seek knowledge, I'm studious. No, I'm what? Keen on seeking knowledge. I live knowledge. I eat, sleep, drink, and breathe. And you need someone who's what? Similar to you, especially being a woman. If it was a man marrying a woman, it may be a bit different. It may be what? A bit different. But a woman marrying a man, it's a different story. So don't settle for any brother unless he himself is someone who's keen on seeking knowledge, and maybe you need to find someone who's even keener, who's a stronger student of knowledge than you. Everyone understand this? That's my advice to you. And in most cases, it never works afterwards. Sister says, I'll marry a brother, he's not that keen, but later on he's going to be studious. Or brothers, they do it all the time. They lie to themselves. I want to marry a sister, she's going to be knowledgeable, she's going to be this, she's going to be this. It never works. I want to convert her to being a religious sister and then being a studious sister. And most times, it never works. And at best, she puts on the hijab, she goes into a class, but her heart it's not there. This is from my own personal experience in life. In most cases, people like this, they don't get married for knowledge. They get married for other reasons, and then they act like, oh, I'm married. You're not really marrying him for a person's knowledge. You're married for another reason. Most people, but not all, from my experiences. So don't settle for someone. That's first and foremost. Secondly is, something is wrong with you. Seriously wrong with you. If you're a sister who's righteous and who's pious, regardless of what you look like, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you consider yourself to be pretty, attractive or not, regardless. All right? There's beauty in everything, but not everyone sees it. As a wise man once said, there's beauty in all things, but not everyone sees that beauty. No matter what you look like. But if you're studious and righteous and pious and you're keen on seeking ilm, and you're making yourself available for marriage, I don't see why you don't have 10 brothers calling and knocking on your father's door. Something is wrong. It's something that you're not doing right. Your advertisement and your marketing isn't what? It's not right. Right or wrong? Nafis, you agree with this or not? A sister who's a student of knowledge and she's pious on the sunnah, she's a gem, an emerald. She's a gem. She's something over which men should fight, fist fight. to marry this sister of the Sunnah. I don't understand these words. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Ad-dunya mata', wa khayru mata'iha ish al-mar'a salihah." And the foundation of salah is what? Is ilm. The worldly life is a provision and an outfit, an enjoyment. And the best provision, the best outfit of the dunya is a righteous woman. There lies no doubt. A sister who's keen, with that word, keen on seeking ilm. She's righteous, she's on the sunnah, and in most cases, I'm sure she's attractive and beautiful. Or if she's not the most attractive and the most beautiful, she's more than pleasing, inshaAllah. InshaAllah ta'ala. That's something that brothers should fight over in the masjid. It's worthy for people to fight over because it's something precious. So if you're known in the community, you go to the classes, and you're looking for marriage, I don't see why a brother who's keen on knowledge can't find you. You see the point I'm trying to get to, Khidr? Unless something is what? Wrong with how you're doing it. You're not making yourself in the position or available for righteous, knowledgeable brothers who are keen on seeking them to do what? To find you and to snatch you and to grab you. A woman in the masjid, a sister in the masjid, a beautiful sister in the masjid, that's one thing. But we're talking about a sister who's considered to be what? Elite. A talibatul ilm is elite. How many brothers in the world today are looking for wives? How many countries you've been to in Nafis, Abu Sayyid? How many HD tours? Looking for what? Righteous sisters. Maybe something is wrong with your search. Or maybe you only want to marry a brother of this age, or this race, or this background. Maybe that's the problem. But there are plenty of righteous brothers out there on the sunnah with ilm that are looking for sisters with ilm. But maybe you have to augment and refine your search. Or maybe you should stop searching and allow them to what? Find you. And Allah knows best. Huh? Without a question. A man can marry a Jewish woman or a Christian woman. A woman cannot marry a Jewish man. And that's because the Imam, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته فالرجل راع في أهل بيته وهو مسؤول. The Prophet ﷺ says that the man is the shepherd of the house. He is the leader of the house. He's the Imam of the house. So, the story, when I was at the mechanic, Mr. Harry, he said what? He said, my father told me when I was younger, the pack follows the lead dog. The pack follows the lead dog, not the opposite. The people, the other dogs, they run according to the speed and the pace of the what? Of the lead dog. That's the nature of life. So that's how Islam is supposed to be. And the sunnah in many aspects is supposed to be an old-fashioned lifestyle in many aspects. Many aspects, the sunnah is old-fashioned, in which the man is supposed to be the leader. He's the one who sets the pace. He's the one who leads by example. If you wish to lead the people, then walk behind them. He's supposed to be the one to set the example for them. So how can a man who's lazy, who doesn't read, who doesn't study, how can he be married to a woman who's keen on seeking knowledge? What effect is it going to have upon her? Or he may become jealous of her. And he may say, don't go to the class. Your voice is out. Don't recite the hadith in the class for Sheikh Mufti. I don't want no one to hear my wife's voice. May become jealous. And the sister or the daughter is what? More studious than the what? The father or the husband or the brother, or whatever the case may be. So it's not the same. The man is supposed to be the what? The leader, because the pack follows the what? The lead dog. You know about huskies? Dogs in these cold countries, in Alaska and parts like this, the lead dog is the most important dog. It's the smartest dog, the fastest dog, the strongest dog, the dog with the most stamina. And that's why he's the what? The leader of the pack. And the other dogs may want to stop, but they won't, just because of the alpha. The wolf, the dog in front, is the leader. So therefore, it's not the same with a woman marrying a man and a man marrying a what? A woman. There are differences. There are what? There are differences. Let alone the fact that a man, he may what? Prevent his wife from seeking him. Why do you have to do that? And Allah knows best. Jazakumullah khairan. I think we've run out of time. Time for breakfast has come. The brothers, they want to eat. You got to get ready for Jumu'ah. Check out and let's see Khidr's khutbah today. The khutbah today? Why not, akhi? After I just gave you the hadith. Jazakumullah khairan.